Evil Dead fans, here's the third on the new mods for the Ash vs. Evil Dead chainsaw hand that I'm building to as accurate as possible. Now I'm going to go over how I built this cuff. Now if you remember from my past videos, this is the same size PVC I use. It's PVC used for sewer installation. I don't use the 3-inch part. This is the sleeve end of the pipe. So that's what I use. Actually a little wider than 3 inches. It's just the usual one I use from the past videos. If you have any questions about it, just refer to the old videos of when I made on these. Now, this strip right here is 1 inch wide. This is a strip of aluminum, which I cut out aluminum from the hardware store. So I cut it out, that strip, set it aside. And then I also cut out 1 inch strips about 10 inches long, 2 of them. Now to make this rounded piece, all I did with those strips is I got one strip and I rolled it around a pen or a pencil and got it to the right size that I wanted that was correct. And I had to eyeball this. I had no measurements, had to eyeball everything, and it turned out well. Now let me get a little measurement on for you. I got a fly in here. He's bugging me pretty bad. Okay, it's just a little over. It's about 3/4 of an inch wide, almost 3/4 of an inch wide. Now, once you have those rolled to the size you need, the width around, all I did was fill it full of milliput, let it dry, sanded the edges. That's all I did. Now, I just put some silver accents here. And I got this painted because I like to get them painted to see if I like it, because I can always repaint it. But I do like the cuff wears, you know, the wear on the cuff where it shows metal. And I noticed on the pictures, most of them are almost fully black. So, after you got the milliput and everything set, this tab here is part of it, part of that rolled piece. And actually, you want a good 3 inches extra left over just for bending purposes and just a little more support. Because what you're going to need with that support is when you drill these holes. Now you want to make sure your holes are going to be even. You don't want them cockeyed, because if they get cockeyed, you're going to have to do some fill work, which sucks. Now when you drill these holes, you definitely want to use a pilot bit and at a stage at a time, just widen out the hole for this bolt here. Because if you just go, you know, balls to the wall with the bit that you think is going to fit, it's going to tear, that milliput's going to tear apart from that aluminum, and you're going to have to start over. Even piloting all the holes, it still wants to try doing that. And you'll need to put it in a vise or something like that. Be very slow and tedious with drilling the holes, because like I said, the milliput will want to separate. I actually filled it in when it was all done with gel super glue in the inside of here, and it gives a nice gritty look, which I like once it's painted. Once that was all drilled out to the right size. Now this bolt's the correct bolt. It's 2 inches long. I've said before to Golfman it's 2.5, and I was wrong, so I'm correcting myself now. The correct one, I forgot the name of this. It has an Allen head top. It has ribs on the side. Has no drill pattern from here up. You want to show a little bit of that non-drill pattern. And you want to come out just a little bit here. You know, probably about 1/4 of an inch, in between 1/2 and 1/4 of an inch. Now, I have not seen one that has a nut to hold that in. So make sure you can secure it somehow. If you need to glue it in, whatever you need to do. Now, like I said before in a past video, these are just tack tops I glued on. Okay. So once you got these made, you want to definitely constantly resize this piece on your cuff to make sure it's the right size that you need to wrap it around. And you want it to be flush. You don't want any part of it sticking out, because when you go to install it, it's a pain in the ass, and it actually will ruin your distance of these connectors. Now, what I have here, the distance between is about 1/2 inch. You son of a gun. Yeah, about 1/2 inch. Okay? And you got to make sure when you drill these holes that those holes will line up so you can install this bolt correctly. And another thing I'm going to show you right now is this distance here. This is 3/4 of an inch from here to here. It's not a full inch. I had it a full inch before and it was way too big. Sorry, my neighbors are playing loud music. And the reason why it's 3/4 of an inch is these holes that you drill for the straps, they're centered right in the middle. Now, if it's 1 inch, it's going to look way too long, or if these holes are over here or over here, it's going to look funky. They're centered. Remember, it's rounded. You always want to start with one strap, finish that, go to the next strap, the next strap, the next strap. The easiest way of doing it is start with the top strap because it's centered then. You'll know where everything will be sitting correctly. If not, it's a pain in the butt because I had to do that because my top handle wasn't made yet. I had to start with the side strap, go around to the bottom, and then do the top. I don't suggest doing that. I suggest doing this top hole first. And so once you know your 3/4 of an inch distance here and your strap is the right size and these are done, you want to cut down whatever you need to from the access. And usually it's about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, right around there. It's kind of up to you. I would suggest about 1/2 to 3/4. And the way I connected those is I just used Gorilla Glue and the gel super glue. And when that stuff acts together, it acts as a super bond. I come to find out, and it sets very quickly. I don't know why, it just does. Just make sure with the Gorilla Glue, it wants to foam over, you wipe that crap off before it sets on the edges. So what you want to do before you put it on the cuff, you want to attach these to the strap from both sides, you know, not on the cuff, and just clamp them together until it's fully dry. Babysit that glue. Make sure it doesn't want to foam over. If it does, just start wiping it away or scrape it away very, very softly because you'll move this piece from the strap. But you got to remember, you got to make sure all your sizing is correct, your distances are correct, because if you don't, you stick it on there, it's going to look like a big pile of poop. And remember, from this point here to this point will be underneath basically the body. The block of wood's going to be right along here, and from here all the way around will be under your top because the top is extended on this, remember. If you don't know that already, now you do. The more you know, right? Okay, and my block of wood, or that filler piece with the block of wood, is actually drying with final paint right now, so I really don't have it to show you. But the top of that block of wood is going to be about right here. And then the bottom of it's going to be about, the opening is going to be about right here. So this distance here almost equals that full block of wood. It's a little, just a little smaller. If it's a little big by like a 1/16 of an inch, it's not a problem. But if this thing's like a 1/2 inch too tall or an inch too tall or way too close, it's gonna look like crap. So you definitely want a good 1/2 inch right here. It's and also if it's too wide, like if you cut this too small, this bolt might not want to fit together, and you might have to get a bigger bolt, and it'll look like crap because you have a giant gap in it. And I've warned you, so don't say I didn't tell you. Once I have these connected to this strap, I did the same glue method with this strap. I drew a line all the way around, or tape line all the way around to where I needed it, put the glue in different spots where the strap was going to sit, slid it on, let it sit, clamped it on there. And usually if you have the right size, you won't have to clamp. It'll just be the right size. You can just slide the sucker on, let it glue. Watch the glue, don't let it foam over. I use the same technique, same glue. And then after that, I didn't put any glue on this spot here because I cut out a piece of that strap and slid it in because there's another strap piece underneath it. So I just slid the sucker in. I just cut it to where it fits in, put the glue in, actually sized it up, bent it a few times, kept sizing it until it was right, dotted my glue in there, slid it in, wiped away the excess glue, babysat it, good to go. And there you go, you have the cuff, but make sure you got this on this strap before you start drilling these holes. definitely do the side straps later. So if you have any questions on there, let me know in the comments. And when it's all on and everything, then you put the tacks on. If you want to put the tacks on, gives it a good look. And there is like some round things on the pictures as well. And also, most of the cuffs, I think I've said before, are mostly black, but I like the look of some of them where it looks like it's worn around the edges. All right, to the top handle, I'm gonna make this quick. And the wood. Now the wood's a lighter wood, so I had to find a finish that was as close as possible, if not correct. What I found was golden oak. It's a nice, lighter stain. And this pull handle is rounded on the edges, so you want to round those off. Just to let you know, you want to round those off. Now let's go to my top handle. My top handle looks good. There is some inaccuracy with it. These here should be set in more to where barely these are showing through the handles. I didn't do that this time because it's a pain in the ass. It's an honest pain in the ass, and keeping it tight is a pain in the ass. Because you want to use something like a carriage bolt, which does not have, has a Phillips or flathead on the top to screw it in. Basically, a carriage bolt sits in, and you put a bolt through it. And for a small piece of wood like this, you're cutting a huge hole. Now, I don't know the other technique that you need to make these both correct. I'll have to look that up later, but as of right now, I like the look of this. So I got the two top here. Actually, these were wide screws. I just milliputted the inside or the tops, and it looks pretty good. I mean, they need to be set in a little more, but I'm not gonna bitch about it. I could bitch about it, but I'm not going to. And also, I got the nice subtle angle cuts here versus some of them have them like this. Some of them are more severe. Just depends on which model you looked at. One thing I did not do is I did not put one down here. There's supposed to be one down here. The reason why I did not do it is I wanted this tape to look like it has a function. Because why does he have tape on there to hold it on if there is a secure, if it's secured underneath? On the ones for sale or the auction, they do have one on there. You can see it barely poking through by the tape, the electrical tape. But I think this gives it more of a, looks more functional and gives it more flair. And it is secured. This is a big screw that goes all the way through this wood over here. But that's why I did that, just to make it look more functional. I like the look of it. Even though these aren't set in further, I'm fine with it. I actually drilled out underneath to see how far I could stick it, but then it started hitting this drill piece, this drill bit, or not drill bit, but screw, sorry. But it started hitting that, and I'm thinking, okay, if I drill any more or cut out any more, the integrity of its strength will be compromised. So I was not gonna mess with that anymore. But I do like the look of it, turned out well. I'm gonna knock out a couple points for accuracy on this handle just because it's not set in further. But at the same time, I like the look of it. It looks really good, looks fancy, even though it's not set in as much. But from a distance, you're really not gonna, you know, hoop and holler about it. It looks really good. I'm happy with the final result, and I'm gonna stick with it. Well, like I said, I'll take a couple points off for accuracy, but yet I will put some points on for flair. But that's it right now. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And like I said, I got some big news with some more giveaway stuff. I'm not gonna release that right now because I got a lot of stuff in the works for that. And you guys stay groovy because you know me, I'm always groovy. Have a great day.